Guy, how far now?
Omo, I'm not really fine. Do you know they paid me last week and right now I can't even boost up to 10,000 naira in my account?
Seriously?
Yes.
Did you budget?
Which one is budgeting? Now I'm not a politician.
That's why your money is missing like NEPA light.
But I didn't buy anything serious, shoes, bags, the thing that guys need now. And just like that, fiam, the money has disappeared.
But it's all these little things. That's why it's taking your money.
Nah. But what should I do?
See, you have to create a budget. You have to track your spending. You have to prioritize your needs over your wants. And you have to save before you spend, not the other way around.
So what you're trying to say that this money management thing is no child's play?
It's no child's play at all.
The Money Click is an annual financial literacy program to help you up your money game. The Money Click is not just about money, it's about mindset. So in the Money Click program, go beyond budgeting to rewire your thinking, to rewire your mindset, to change your thinking about income, to change your thinking about money management. So we'll help you grow your income, we'll help you manage it, we'll help you invest with confidence. Money is not just about what you know. Money is more about how you behave. And every day in the Money Click program, what we'll try to do is to influence how you behave about money. This is not just financial education. This is financial transformation. I will hope to see you become a part of it. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and good afternoon, and welcome to our Thursday live session here on the Naira Academy. My name is Chukwemeka Onyenizi, and I'm the founder of the Naira Academy, and you are all welcome here today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of us today. Yes, my lovely wife is already here, joined in. Happy to have you here today. All right. Okay, so if you're joining us, please just share this link on your contacts, share it on your status, share it to people around you, get them to come and join us. Tell people that, yes, we are here again this morning, right? You can join us here on YouTube and on Facebook at the Naira Academy. And you can also join us with through my personal Facebook page, Chukwemeka Onyenizi. Happy to have you here today. Okay, so let's get into discussion for today. So today's discussion is why some families stay wealthy for generations. Have you ever wondered why some families stay wealthy for generations? In fact, we have the lowest statistics of generational wealth coming to Africa, right? We have the lowest statistics of generational wealth. In places like America, the statistics for generational wealth goes down when you start getting to the third generation. But in this part of the world, by the second generation, it's almost gone, right? Oh, welcome, ma'am. Mrs. Bella, Mrs. Emily, Sarah, you're welcome. So in this part of the world, in Africa, most times our wealth don't even get to the next generation. And it's because of certain issues that we're going to be looking out for today. And among those issues, at the helm of all those issues, is the problem of financial literacy, actually for the younger generation. All right. Okay. So a lot of people also think that generational wealth is about having a lot of money, but it's deeper than that, right? Because history has shown us something that is very interesting, and it is that most families become wealthy, but very few families remain wealthy. So generational wealth is about remaining wealthy, not becoming wealthy, right? It's about remaining wealthy. So studies across the world have repeatedly shown that wealth often disappears within 3 generations. But in Africa, wealth disappears within 2 generations, right? For where generally in the world, where wealth disappears within 3 generations, the first generation built it, the second generation maintains part of it, the third generation often would just lose it, right? Everything will just go to waste. All right. Um, um, there's a saying, there's a very old saying that from short leaves to short leaves in 3 generations, right? Meaning that one generation rises from poverty, another enjoys the success, right? The next falls back into struggle. So the real question is not how do families make money? It's not, because we've seen that making money is the easiest part of it, right? The deeper question is what allows some families to preserve wealth, to preserve influence, to preserve opportunities, to preserve stability for decades? For decades. What allows us to be able to do that? Right? Welcome, Madam Tony George. We can see you. Happy to have you here. Right? So, what is able to do that? How is it possible that some families maintain these things for decades? Right? They preserve wealth, they preserve influence, they preserve opportunities. The answer is simple. The answer is in a book that I released last year. Right? A book I released last year. Right? And we're going to come to that book. But before we get to it, the answer is a very simple thing. The answer is that they pass down far more than money. That's the way. Is to pass down something different than money. You know, in this part of the world, we think that the only thing we have to pass down to our children is just money. Oh, just pass down assets to them, just give them money, just give them land, and they'll be fine. Just gather all the money. You see the way our politicians even behave. They just gather the money, and most of the times they can't even carry on. The children can't even carry on the legacies, right? Because they think it's just all about passing down money, passing down assets, and it's more than that. It's more than that. We need to start looking. We need to start looking beyond passing money. All right. So, in my book last year, Raising Heirs Not Hustlers, I went in deeper to answer this question, and I also went in deeper to begin to explain how we can begin to do this differently. And one of the messages or one of the lessons I copied to be able to pass this message was the life of Christ himself, was Christ's own way of passing that. Did you realize that one of the things that Christ did was that he just didn't leave earth, but he left earth, empowered his apostles, and a lot of them even did a lot of great works. There's a lesson to learn out of it. And Raising Heirs Not Hustlers is there to bring those lessons to you. All right? So for you to maintain influence for generations, preserve wealth, right? You need to pass down far more than money. You need to pass down mindsets. You need to pass down systems. You need to pass down discipline. You need to pass down financial education, emotional control, right? Long-term thinking. So it's more than just just passing down money. All right. So the mindset is important. What mindset are you passing down to them? What systems are you living with them? The systems are key, right? Because the systems will determine if they will be able to manage what you're leaving for them. We talk about money systems every day. What money systems are they learning from you? What mindset are they taking from you? A lot of people who create wealth do not have their children continue in that manner because most times they do not carry the mindsets that the wealth creators have, that their parents have. Most times it's just a mindset of what's the word? The mindset of entitlement. They're just entitled by what their parents have, and all that. And because of that, they are not molded to become those persons that can do more or greater things than their parents did. You pass down discipline. You pass down financial education, which is very key. Right? You cannot have more financial education than your children. How do you ensure continuation if you're more financially educated than your children? And that's why they should start early. That's why children should start early. Right? They should start early. Very important. The children should be able to start early so that they will eventually be more educated than you. That's how you ensure continuity, by ensuring that the next generation is better than you. If the next generation is not better, there will be no continuity. All right? Then emotions control also. We need to be able to pass down emotional control. But if you do not have it, you can't pass it down. We need to pass down long-term thinking. There's this wave of have everything happening now. You can't be raising a child and you give the child the sense that he gets what he wants here and now and whenever he asks for. You can't raise a child in that manner and imbibe long-term thinking. So long-term thinking is also very important. And you can't have a child take generational wealth seriously if they don't have long-term thinking. Because they need to think beyond just themselves. Because they need to also understand that they need to pass down what you're passing down to them. And they need to make it bigger. They need to make it better. They need to improve on it. Right? So it's not just about them. It's about the other generations that are yet to come. And there are families that have been able to do these things. All right? A lot of families have been able to do it. But you need to invest a lot in educating the children for these things to work. If not, they won't understand the reason for the generational wealth. They won't understand. Everything will be squandered. Right? And we also need to educate ourselves also for us to be able to do this. All right? And because if we do not educate ourselves, then we're going to be in a situation where we just gather the money, and just like Madam Tony just says, we'll forget to gather the sense. All right? Yes, MCK to the world. That's why Money Click Kids is important. We need to begin to imbibe in these children these things early. They need to begin to understand money early. Just recently, last 2 weeks, Sunday, so we had a book review in the Money Click Kids program. So the children were presenting and were asking themselves questions. And how some of them were answering the questions, I was just so proud. I was just telling myself, yes, this is it. This is it. These children are getting there. All right? So it's important. We need to invest a lot in education. Education for our children, money education can never go to waste. The problem is that we actually neglect financial education a lot, right? And that's the reason sometimes out of arrogance, we just feel what's there, just pass the money down to them. They will squander the money, trust me. If you give them the money, and that's one of the things that I put out in my book, Raising Heirs, Not Hustlers, right? If you pass down just money, you're not raising heirs. They need to be educated on how to manage the money, how to grow the money. They need to be educated on how to improve from where you left. Education is key. Without education, they are going to run everything down. All right? So now, let's still look at more reasons why some families stay wealthy for generations. Number one is that wealthy families, now looking at wealthy families already, we're taking these lessons. Wealthy families teach ownership early, right? That's one major lesson that wealthy families understand. It's that employees work for income, owners build assets. So from small, they start raising their children to start thinking in the line of ownership. It doesn't mean their children don't work, because they are very strategic. Their children work for a while before they go fully into ownership. Right? And this is the reason why a lot of families, wealthy families, expose their children early to investing, to businesses, to stocks, make them understand cash flow, make them understand wealth creation principle, teach them. So children in this environment, they grow up understanding how businesses operate, how money compounds, how assets generate income. Not just how to work and make money, how assets generate income. All right? Why ownership matters. Start from little, they start understanding all the things we see when we play the Monopoly game. This is what shapes their identity early. But you see, in the average homes, right? What children hear in the average homes is, oh, go to school and get a good job. Children from average homes are just programmed to be employees. They're not programmed to own. They're not programmed to own. They're not programmed to learn how money works. You don't hear things like, oh, learn how to build assets, learn how to own things. No, it's go to school, take your school very seriously. So you come out and you get a good job. So it's always about a good job. All right? It's always about a good job. And that becomes their identity. That's the reason why you have children, you have young adults today who tell you, I can only do 9 to 5. They are not interested in. See, children become how you program them to be. Most of them have been programmed just to be only employees, forgetting that there are so many other quadrants from which cash can flow back to them. Oh, they don't know. I'm using the word forgetting. They have no idea. Why? Because they were not educated. And because also we concentrate on going to school and finding a job, we forget that, oh, actually, when they get the job, how do they manage the money they get from the job? So the school they go to is for them to be able to be employable. But when they're employable and start earning the money, how do they manage what they earn? That's where financial literacy comes in. That's where financial literacy comes in. So you see, the things that children hear in the average homes and what they hear in wealthy homes, you know, that difference compounds over generations. It compounds over generations, right? Yes, I see a comment here. Tita Academy said, I started giving my daughter £5 per week. She said, Mom, I'll be keeping 50 pence out of it every week when you give me. Just yesterday, she showed me £7 she saved from the 50 pence. Great, perfect. And this is how to start. I often tell people that savings is a habit. It's a habit that children need to start early. A lot of us struggle with savings as adults because we didn't start early. It's alien to us. So we don't know what it means to save. But if a child can understand and start saving from this young age, then it becomes a part of her. Then she knows when she's an adult, by the time she becomes an adult, the habit has become so ingrained in her that she can't do, she's saving involuntarily. It's not something she need to put in a lot of efforts to do anymore because it's now a part of her. And that's the whole aim of what we are trying to teach children. That's the whole aim of the Money Click Kids program of starting early. It's so that the children begin to see these things as part of them. Because if they hear it early, they'll start practicing it early. But the problem is, some people never hear about saving until they are 30. There's a saying in my place, right? I'll say it in Igbo, I'll try to translate. That you don't start learning how to use your left hand from an old age. And you see, that's the reason why a lot of people struggle with money. Is because the things we're trying to learn them late. Right? It doesn't mean we can't learn them. It's going to be a bit more difficult. But for the children, it's easier if they start early. See, when they start early, it becomes a part of them. By the time they get to their 20s, savings and the idea of investing, it becomes like an involuntary action because they've inculcated that habit. It's something they can't shake off anymore. All right? And all these things start from what we're telling them at home. It starts from the foundations that we're laying for them. Right? Teaching ownership early is key. Children need to understand the concept of ownership. And one of the things that you can use to begin to teach the concept of ownership and income from ownership is Monopoly. Monopoly. Now, there's Monopoly Junior. You know, the normal Monopoly, you can only start playing the normal Monopoly from age 8, right? But there's Monopoly Junior now for younger children. Teach them Monopoly. Play Monopoly with them. Let them understand that there's something in ownership. That's one lesson that Monopoly will teach you and will teach your children. They will understand how the world really works. They will understand how the wealthy really earns. They will understand what it means to earn from assets. Right? Thank you very much for sharing, ma. But Messi says, I have serious problem saving. No one taught me from childhood. We only taught on how to hide money in different corners. So I don't even know what they use the money to. Thank you so much for that. You see? So that's the thing. Early education is key. So now you're going to find yourself, a lot of time we talk about rewiring. When you get to this point, what you'll be doing will be rewiring your mindset. Why? Because you're trying to rewire yourself from being that person who does not save to become the person who saves. And it's going to take some work. That's the truth. It's going to take some work. And that's where sometimes a lot of people are not patient with themselves or are in a hurry, right? Let's say I am 30 today, or let's say I am 35 and I have not saved all my life. It has not been a thing for me. And then from 35, I start hearing the message of savings. I shouldn't expect that even some people expect that in 2 months they will just become savers. No, something you've practiced for a whole 35 years of your life, or let's take away the childhood age. You practice for maybe 20 years of your life, 20 of your life. You've practiced not saving. It won't take a day, it won't take a month for you to start saving automatically. But see, for the children, they've not yet been formed. They've not yet been wired yet. So when you bring them into financial education, the wiring is coming and it's coming out perfectly. It's coming out well, gradually. It seems like nothing is happening, but the wiring is happening. It's compounding little by little. All right. Okay, let's move on. Number two of why families stay wealthy for generations is that the build family systems, not just income, the build family systems. See, many people build family income. Only a few people build systems, right? And this is the reason why many families collapse, many businesses collapse when the founder dies. Have you been to an HMA market? Have you seen my Igbo brothers? This is also one of the reasons why I wrote the book, Raising Heirs, Not Hustlers. You need to read the book for you to understand my perspective. We have a system where the founder is the system. That's the kind of business we run. We run the kind of business where if anything happens to the founder of the business, the whole business collapses. There's no system for continuity. That is one of the things that will show you that we do not, why generational wealth lacks in this climb. Right? See, our continuity does not work within the family space, but it works. We have a method of continuity in business, but not within the family. What do I mean? In the Igbo system of business, there's something called apprenticeship system. So it's a system where the business owner takes on apprentices from time to time in the business. He trains them on the business and he sets them to start up their own business. Now, it ensures continuity of that business line. But the problem is most people who even train apprentices never train their own children in that line of business. They only send their children to go to school. And trust me, I've seen this happen over and over again. Look, 20 years down the line, the apprentices are in a better place financially than their own children. Because they thought that the only thing they needed to give their children was the normal formal education. So even the things they could teach their children about business, they didn't teach them anything. So we need to normalize making our children our own apprentices. We need to normalize bringing them into our business. Let them understand the business that we do. Let our children become our first apprentice. Right? And it's also because of the way people see the apprentices. They see them as, how can my child be an apprentice? No, go to school. I'll send you to London. Go to London and read business and come back. They still can't manage a business. You still can't manage a business. So we need to build family systems where our children become apprentices in our own businesses. Right? And that's one of the things that I love so much when I see Tony Elumelu and I see how he takes his daughters around, teaching them, the ropes. It's important. It's very important. right? Because a typical business person in this part of the world, when the person dies, everything dies with the person. The family starts from ground zero, complete ground zero. It's so bad that nobody else in the family understands how the business is run most of the time. Nobody else except the person. And it's not even just about. Also, a very sad part of it is the business contacts too. The business contacts. Only the founder has the business contacts, right? And once the person is no longer available, no longer alive, the neighbors and other people in the line of business will take away all those contacts and start supplying to them. Yes, the apprentice eventually becomes the one who inherits the business indirectly. So we have a system where apprentices are inheriting from the founders, and the children of the founders are getting nothing. Are getting nothing. All right? So a lot of families are just concentrated on building income, but not systems. Where the families understand this thing. Have you looked at the Louis Vuitton family? See, the Louis Vuitton family is only run by children of Louis Vuitton. I'm talking about a business that has started since 4 generations ago. No matter what you study as a child in the Louis Vuitton family, oh yes, Baby Mona is gearing up. Baby Mona is gearing up to become a money coach. She is. Thank you so much, Mrs. Emily. Have you looked at the Louis Vuitton family? See, no matter what you study as a in the Louis Vuitton family, no matter what you study, whether you study engineering, whether you want to study, you come back and apply it in the business. That's the way they roll. No matter what you do, you come back and you apply whatever you've learned in the family business. So as you're leaving, you know you're coming back to the family business. That's how Louis Vuitton has stayed on for about 4 generations now, and more. And more. And more. So, Coach, after reading your book, Raising Financially Literate Children, my children no longer do summer lessons to join us in our family. But thank you. Perfect. Perfect. There's no need for the summer lesson. They've learned enough in school. Honestly speaking, they learned enough in school. Let's teach them our business. Let's teach them our business. Let's prepare them to become heirs. Indirectly, when we do not teach our children, we're setting them up to become hustlers. You know, sometimes I just imagine, how can some of us have the wealth of knowledge and access and opportunities that we have today, and our children will have to start all over again hustling, instead of becoming heirs of those knowledge, heirs of those access, of those opportunities. But you need to prepare them to become these heirs. You need to intentionally teach them. We need to intentionally teach them, right? We need to intentionally teach them. You know, I had an encounter. There was one time before I wrote my book, Raising Financially Literate Children, that Mrs. Blessing is talking about. I had an encounter with someone, and she told me about her fears as a person. It was a session that I had with her, and the husband has a multi-million naira business in Nigeria, but she moved to the UK to study. Her children lives there with her, and then she told me something, that my biggest fear is if anything happens to my husband today, the business will crumble and we can't sustain our lives here. And it struck me. Nobody knows. Only the husband knows how the business runs, and it's a big business. Now, the question of why did you have to leave to go to the UK and be away from where you and your children will learn about business? Why did you do that? You know, a lot of things will come out. I feel they are safer here, and all those things. We can always give ourselves a lot of excuses. Too many excuses why we will keep our children away from, being formed, from learning what we do and all that. Even our own selves away from learning the things we do. I've seen people who own schools here in Nigeria, not one, two, three schools, somebody, right? And the person who wakes up one day and decides that they'll leave it all and take their children abroad and become employees there. The children, there's so much we need to understand about wealth. There's so much. Hello, Mrs. Akinyelu. Welcome, ma'am. Okay, I see. Oh, yes, I see another comment here. After reading the book, Raised Financial Literature, we wrote them in a mini mart 2 buildings away. They helped the woman sell for 1 hour and they now paid 200 per day. Nice, lovely. I like that. She says that book delivered me. Thank you so much, Pastor Kinyel. Thank you so much, ma. I don't know why you did not put Pastor here or you put Mrs. It's Pastor, I'll take. All right. Thank you so much, ma. Okay, so wealthy families understand that if wealth depends on one person, it becomes fragile. And we've seen it a lot of times. When wealth depends on one person, it becomes fragile, right? Okay, before I go on, I like the interaction. Okay, this is from Mrs. Tony George, another comment. It says, our family friend / mechanic runs a family business and the 4th generation is taking training. He is 16 and repairs my car. The great grandfather is alive doing auto body repairs. Grandfather is in the business and so is only daughter of the family. Wait, grandfather is in the business, so is only daughter of the family. Self, did the business. Every child in that family is in the business. So every child in the family is in the business. Even the daughter is in the business. And that's the whole aim of it. Now, let me remind you again about another business that has stayed for generations. This one has lasted 200 years in the same family. Do you know that what the Pope wears, the Pope of the Roman Catholic Church, of the Catholic Church, what the Pope wears has been made by one family for the past 200 years. In fact, 201 years now. What the Pope wears has been single-handedly made by one family. There's a secret to how his garment is made. Every vestment that the Pope wears, that family alone has the secret. They've passed it down for 200 years. For 200 years. So it's not just about passing money. If the people 200 years ago have just told themselves, oh, we've made money from making clothes from the Pope, we just pass on the money to the next generation, it dies. But they understood that there's something more important in continuity, and it is in the secrets. Passing that secret down. In fact, when I was watching the documentary, so it got to a point where they make everything the Pope wears is handmade. Getting into that place, they didn't allow the camera to get into the place. They said, no, that this is a secret place. This is a secret. This is where the secret happens. We can't let you get in there. Right? We can't let you get in there. So they only made the video in a place where the garment has already been made because it is secret. You can imagine a secret that have been protected for 200 years. Children following in line. The person who is currently running that company is a daughter, not even a son. It's a daughter. No matter whether daughter, whether son, they inherit and just keep passing it on. 200 years. Just go check it on the internet. You can still find the same documentary I watched. Continuity. So wealth is you understanding. Becoming wealthy is understanding something powerful. If wealth depends on one person, it is fragile. So wealthy families create systems. They create governance. They create succession plans. They create family structure, investment framework, business continuity systems. Some of us run businesses, but we do not have any business continuity system. If anything happens to you today, your business is dead with you. Some of us are geniuses in the businesses we run. Nobody can see our back. But anything happens to you today, that secret dies with you. And you know the funny thing? Sometimes when your children even want to come close, do people should live here? See, I had neighbors growing up, and this man was into sale of them cameras and all things related to that. So his children were rarely allowed to come to the shop. Oh, live here, go and do something else. A friend of mine in university told me that the same thing happened to him. That if they try to go to the parents' business, they will tell them that, oh, so I paid your school fee. After paying how much school fees in private university, you will come back home and want to be staying there. Will you get out of here? Ignorance. Ignorance. Some of these people, they are treated. The one that was our neighbor, when the man died, that shop never remained the same. Now, let me tell you what happened. The man died. This man had 2 shops in 2 different parts of this country. Right? The business eventually, when he died, the business eventually collapsed. The one that was in Owerri first collapsed, remaining the one in the other part of the world, the country, sorry, which I won't mention. Right? They tried to manage that one. It still really couldn't stand because they didn't understand. They were not taught. The man didn't teach them. The man didn't teach them. I can't quite remember the Pope documentary title right now. Right? I can't remember. But just write something around that. You know, making of the clothes garment, the family that makes the clothes garment on YouTube. You'll find it. So, talking about these people, the family, the business went down. Not just that. This man had different buildings in our city where I grew up. I'm not talking about one building. I'm talking about flats of 4-story buildings, 3-story buildings. Guess what? Years down the line, they've sold all. The children have sold all. They don't understand ownership. They've sold everything. They've shared the money. See, they shared the money and went back broke. One day, one of them was chatting me. I was like, guy, how far? Can you help me with something? Because they never understood financial education. The parents never understood the need for financial literacy. These children, only if they understood how to manage the resources that were left with them, should never, ever be poor. The businesses, the investments, all gone. All gone. Right? So the reason why some families survive 50 years, 100 years, is because they understand the need for succession. They invest in business continuity systems. They understand family governance. They understand succession plans. They understand family structure. They understand investment frameworks. Right? And it's not because nobody made mistakes within these wealthy families that have lasted for years. Right? But because the systems were stronger than personalities. We need to start creating systems that are strong. Number 3 is the separate wealth from lifestyle. One of the biggest mistakes many people make is confusing looking wealthy with being wealthy. We confuse it a lot. Many families destroy wealth through lifestyle inflation. You know, as money is increasing, spending increases, pressure increases, image management increases. That's another one. Right? So the family becomes financially impressive but structurally weak. But wealthy families think differently from what I've studied. Right? Many of them preserve capital quietly. They understand certain things that luxury consumes, and they understand that assets produce. So they focus on assets. Luxury these are the ones that people are always showing around. Assets are the ones that you don't see. Not until recently, after how many years that the former chairman of Access Bank died, they found out over 100 properties that he owns in London. Come on. Come on now. Right? So they understand that assets produce. It's not just about luxury. In fact, they don't start having luxury until they have enough assets to get them the luxury. What people don't know, that's one thing people don't understand. You're using end income to get luxury. End income. And that's why people now, you see people who feel they have arrived and they are rubbing shoulders with people who have gotten to the point of wealth. The difference is what pays for the wealth that they have is not work they do every day. It is assets that produce the money. So those assets will never run dry. What is paying for the typical man's luxury is what he's doing every day. The day he cannot work, he can't even feed anymore. There's a difference. There's a difference. But to get here, wealthy families understand that there's a need to negotiate prices. There's a need to avoid unnecessary waste. There's a need to drive modest cars. In the beginning, there's a need to reinvest profits. There's a need to prioritize long-term stability over social approval. Do you know that Warren Buffett still lives modestly despite his enormous wealth? Why? Because truly wealthy people value freedom, they value stability, they value control more than appearance. Appearance is not what is important to them. Number 4 is that they teach delayed gratification. They teach delayed gratification. That's one hidden strength in wealthy families is emotional discipline. Right? Emotional discipline. So children are taught that not every desire must be satisfied immediately. Wealth takes time. Investing is long term. You know, discipline matters more than excitement. And this is something powerful for children to learn because wealth is usually destroyed emotionally before it is destroyed financially. And with us, even with our spending patterns, you can tell. Money is destroyed emotionally before it is destroyed financially. Many people spend emotionally, they invest emotionally, they borrow emotionally, they compete socially. All these are emotional drivers. Right? But wealthy families teach their children patience. They teach their children patience because they understand that compounding needs time. So patience is a skill in wealth creation. Right? It's a skill in wealth creation. Number 5 is the protect family culture. Right? So strong families intentionally protect values. They know that cultures shape behavior. So some families create cultures around reading, around learning, stewardship, responsibility. They create a culture of excellence. They create a culture of wise money management. Right? But you see, unintentional families create cultures around things that do not matter. What do I mean? They create culture around consumption. You earn the money, you spend it. You earn the money, you buy. It's a culture for some people. It might not seem like it's a culture, but when it becomes ingrained in your behavior, it becomes a culture. They create cultures around dependency. You see people that, the first generation depended on one uncle. The second generation will depend on the children of the uncle, just like that. They create cultures around financial chaos, competition. And one thing we need to understand is that over time, family culture compounds financially. So you might not understand how. You might not understand how the culture of not saving is affecting you until years later when it compounds. So we need to make an intentional effort, not just about us, but as a family to create a culture around these things. Create a culture of reading, create a culture of learning, create a culture of responsibility, create a culture of wise money management. Right? Create a culture of saving. All these things eventually compound financially on the long run. Number 6 is that wealthy families normalize financial conversations. Right? See, in many homes, in many typical families, Money conversations are avoided. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about nobody speaks money. You want to be a criminal? You're talking about money in this house. So money conversations are not allowed. So children grow up financially blind, just like some of us grew up financially blind, right? And then adulthood becomes trial and error. They try this one, it no work. They try another one, it no work. But wealthy families understand something. They discuss certain things. They start having certain discussions, and it helps the children open their mind. Discussions around investing, around taxes, business, risk, even estate planning, planning for when you're no longer here, opportunities. And they talk about money mistakes openly. These are the mistakes I made at some point in my life. The children learn from it, right? See, children learn by exposure a lot. A lot. They learn by exposure a lot. And you see, exposure can come in form of conversations. The conversations you open your children to will determine the exposure they have in those areas. And if you expose them financial intelligence, if you normalize financial conversations in your family, financial intelligence becomes part of that environment. Number 7 is that the thinking generations, not just seasons. So the average thinking is, can we afford this now? Generational thinking asks questions like, how will this decision affect the family 20 years from now? Right? And that changes everything. It changes your spending. It changes how you invest. It changes how you parent, your business decisions, your risk taking. Right? So wealthy families often prioritize education. They prioritize ownership. They prioritize network. They prioritize reputation. Strategic positioning. Why? Why? Because they understand that generational wealth is not just money. I've said it before. It's more than money. It's beyond money. It's access. It's opportunity, stability, and more. Number 8 is they invest heavily in financial education. Many wealthy families understand something schools rarely teach well, right? Financial ignorance is expensive, very expensive. Trust me. So the intention I put their children in a position for them to learn investing, learn wealth preservation, learn estate planning, learn business strategy, financial psychology, a lot of things around money. Some families even go further. Some families hold family meetings. Some families have investment discussions. Some families have succession conversations. And this is the reason why wealth survives longer. See, knowledge keeps wealth alive. Yes, knowledge keeps wealth alive. Right? Another strategy the wealthy families use is that they use structures that protect wealth. Right? Now we're talking about structures like things like trusts, holding companies, diversified investments, long-term portfolios. Why? Because they understand that wealth can disappear through a lot of things. Wealth can disappear through conflicts. Right? Wealth can disappear through lawsuits. If you decide, so that's why these days the people don't do bills anymore. They use trusts. All right? Wealth can disappear with poor planning, even taxes. Even taxes. Imagine a situation where you inherit just to be paying inheritance tax. So wealthy families understand these things and they carefully navigate through these things and avoid a lot of them. Avoid issues with poor transitions. Right? In subsequent classes, we're going to learn more and understand, but this is going to be purely within the Money Clique, where we're going to understand trusts, right? We're going to understand the need for trusts and how we can use trusts to protect family wealth and thereabout. We're going to learn that towards, I think, thereabout October. That's when we'll start talking about estate planning and all that. So many families work hard to build wealth, but they never prepare to preserve it. And that's the reason why they lose it. Right? So wealth is built quietly. There are a lot of lessons that we need to learn from families who are wealthy. Right? Somebody will say that if you want to understand how to do something and do it well, go to those who have been able to do it before. And if you need to understand wealth preservation in family and generational wealth, study families that have done that. And there are certain lessons we can pick from them that I've picked out. One is that wealth is built quietly. See, many truly wealthy families are less flashy. They're less flashy than struggling people who are trying to look rich. That's number one. Number two is that assets matter more than appearances. They always prioritize business, investments, that steady cash flow. They prioritize all these things over social validation. Number three is that they understand that discipline is inherited through environment. Your children become what they repeatedly see. So they are very much concerned about what the children see. Number four is that they understand, number four, right? Number four, yeah. They understand that what needs protection. What needs protection, right? Making money and keeping money are different skills. And like I told you, making money is the easier part of it. It's the easiest part. Keeping money is a total different skill altogether. And lastly, they understand that education outlives money. See, money can disappear, but financial wisdom can rebuild it. Financial wisdom can rebuild it. Now, a business mentor once told me something years ago. He told me that for all the businesses that he has started in his life, that he has run in his life, he didn't start any of them with capital. All he started them with were relationships, trusts. And it came from him understanding and having any early financial wisdom. Right? Now, in many homes today, one successful person carries everybody, right? And the problem is that it creates a lot of pressure instead of stability. So many first generation wealth creators in Africa are providers. In fact, they're not providers, they are rescuers. They're emergency systems. The emergency systems. Right? But one thing they fail to learn to balance, a lot of people fail to learn to balance. And if you must make your family a wealthy family, even in being a provider and rescuer and emergency system for the extended family, you must learn certain things. You must learn to balance generosity. You must learn to balance structure. You must learn to balance boundaries. And above all, also sustainability. Because you cannot preserve wealth without wisdom and systems. Jim Rohn said something. Jim Rohn said that success is something you attract by the person you become. So generational wealth is not accidental. It's not accidental. Families become the kind of families that are capable of sustaining wealth. So success is something you attract you attracted by the person you become. So if you want your family to be the family that would keep wealth for generations, your family needs to become that type of family. Right? And the Rockefeller family is one family that we can also draw a lot of lessons from. You see, the Rockefeller family have survived generations of wealth, partly because they focused heavily on things like financial education, philanthropy, governance, and long-term, very long-term investing. They built systems that are stronger than individuals. Right? We're almost out of time, so I think we're just going to close. Most people think if I can just make enough money, everything will change. Right? But history have taught us something else. Wealth without structure creates temporary comfort. Wealth with wisdom creates generational transformation. So we need wisdom. We need financial wisdom. The strongest inheritance is not money. The strongest inheritance is mindset. Money is the last. It's mindset, it's discipline, it's wisdom, it's systems, it's values, it's financial consciousness. Without all those things and money, the money will be wasted. They won't know how to manage the money. Because money inherited without wisdom is usually consumed. Money inherited can rebuild wealth repeatedly. Sorry, wisdom inherited can rebuild wealth repeatedly. So we need to go beyond just transferring money, right? To transferring wisdom. So remember that generational wealth is not built by luck, it's built intentionally. It's built through disciplined decisions that is repeated across generations, right? So this is where we end because of time. So we do not go beyond the time that we've allocated for today's class. All right. Yes. Thank you so much for joining. Please just share this link. If you're joining from YouTube or Facebook, just share the link. Let others join and learn. And if you've not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please just kindly do so also. Right. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. This is where we'll come to the end of today's Thursday live session. For those who are in Abuja, are you going to be in the TIP Summit on Saturday? Because I will be there, and we're going to talk a lot more about things like this. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Hoping to see those who are within Abuja and environs in the TIP Abuja Summit, right? And yes, thank you, and have a very good day, everyone. Hoping to see more people this year through the TIP summits in different parts of the world. Okay, I will come to Australia. I will come to Australia. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a very good day ahead, and have a lovely weekend ahead. All right.